It's all about the... I need to get back out on the scene so I can be seen. You know, going to fancy parties, getting expensive iced coffees, Sunday fun days, okay? So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It's time for Power Hour with Sami Kincaid, highlighting, discussing, and focusing on women's athletics around the country. From the pros to the amateurs, from high schools to colleges, Sammy's got you covered. Join Power Hour now on the Cure Brand Hotline, 615-844-5600. 615-844-5600. Now, here's your host of Power Hour, Sami Kincaid.
Welcome in, you guys. It is Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I am Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. Got producer Devlin over there. If you're watching the live stream, you can see him on camera today. He hates me secretly. Oh, he's pointing at his Ohio State. Goodness gracious. I'm really excited for our first guest because we're talking SEC football, where it really matters. Well, I'm real excited to be joined by Taylor Davis today, ESPN reporter. You can catch her on ACC Network, SEC Network. She's even... last week, and I was pretty jealous. Taylor, you there? You worked a Nike event for the NFL Network. Pretty jealous on that one, but you also have a podcast. You can see her, hear her a lot of different ways. Welcome, Taylor.
What's up, Sammy? So good to hear from you.
Absolutely. So, like I said, we're going to ignore the hat that Devlin's pointing to over there with Ohio State, and let's talk SEC football. It's a big, big day. So, what's the big SEC game you are most looking forward to?
Gosh, first of all, let me just say I love the slate of Week 1 matchups this year. I love that we're crossing conferences within the Power 5, and we're really getting a better gauge of what you're working with. I feel like Week 1, so many times we get on these broadcasts, and there's so much hope, there's so much excitement, and even after the end of the game, you still don't really feel like you have a good sense. But I feel like across the league, we're really going to be able to have a better understanding. And, I mean, I think that there's plenty. I think Cincinnati, Arkansas is going to be a really good one. I love Sam Pittman. I love what he's done with that program. I think that, you know, the storyline of that matchup is more compelling than what the actual game's going to be. That's my expectation. I just think Cincinnati lost too much. But really excited for that matchup, not one that we get ordinarily. But, I mean, come on, everyone's talking Oregon, Georgia. How do you not, right? And SEC fans obviously have a lot of closeness to that one because Bo Nix is going to be playing on the other sideline. So a lot of familiarity between those two, a lot of ties to the SEC in that matchup. But can Georgia stay at the top? It's one thing to get there, but can you stay there? I think we'll have a better idea of that after today.
Absolutely, and I love that you brought up Sam Pittman. I worked with him at Tennessee in recruiting, and he always was. He was coaching the line, and so you would expect him to sneak some food, and he always would sneak food to us while we were working recruiting events. He said, "Go look under my desk. I got some food for you." So he was great. I really hope the best for him over at Arkansas. But you brought it up that Georgia game, it really is. Do you think that is the game that is really going to that is a must win for the SEC to really keep that standard of being the best conference?
You know, I don't necessarily consider it a must-win because I don't think anyone is expecting Georgia to repeat. I think all eyes are on Alabama, as they always are. And as an Auburn alum, truthfully, I hate that that's the case. But I think that the reality is there's higher expectations other places. I even think LSU. I think when you bring in a guy like Brian Kelly, expectations are immediate. You know, you expect you're going to see that impact because the reality is Les Miles and Ed Ogeron won national championships at LSU because of recruiting. This is a place that is always stacked on the recruiting front. It's a program that just dominates in terms of culture and environment. Now you throw NIL and a coach like Brian Kelly in there, expectations are going to be through the roof, and they're going to be there immediately. So I think that there's a lot of hope that Georgia is going to win today, and it will certainly make a mark if they do, especially since they're in Atlanta. But I think if they flip up and Oregon pulls off the W, I don't think it changes the viewpoint of the SEC because I really think stock is actually in other teams.
Absolutely. And what do you think is going to be the most sneaky game? You mentioned Bama, Utah State. I feel like they could be sneaky good. Also, A&M. Do you think they're overrated? Do you think? I mean, they're playing Sam Houston. It's been a while since they've lost an in-state game. But what do you think that sneaky game could be today for the SEC?
I don't know if it is sneaky exactly because I think they're actually picked. But Utah, Florida, another matchup that I love. I'm telling you, I am just pumped about these week one slates. But Utah, Florida. Let me tell you, that is my favorite recent hire in the SEC is Billy Napier to Florida. I have covered the Gators in years past, and the problem was top down, honestly. They needed a disciplinarian to come in there and kind of get the Florida of old back, and Billy Napier, I believe, is the guy to do it. I love that coaching hire, and good gracious, the staff that he has put in place, I think, one of my crew members actually counted, they now have more staff members than they do players at Florida. So there are a lot of moving pieces at that program. Do I think they're going to come away with the win today? I don't. I actually have Utah as one of my picks for the Pac-12 overall. I think that they've got a lot of good players with a lot of experience. And Florida, there may be a few growing pains, but I think that's going to be a really intriguing matchup. I actually think it's going to come down to the wire. But long-term implications, Billy Napier is going to turn Florida around.
Absolutely. I love that. That's absolutely insane that the staff is outnumbering the players now. That's really impressive, but not surprising for Florida. And since we're in Nashville, we got to talk about Vandy and Tennessee. Even though they have already played their first games, Vandy plays already again against Elon today. Do they get their second win?
You know what? I think they could. And it's not only a quick turnaround, but gosh, you can't undermine the travel that they had to go through for week one. That's not, a hop, skip, and a jump from Nashville. So I
wish Hawaii was a hip Scott. I can't even say
it. Me as well. But I think that when you start the way they did and you kind of prove to yourself, hey, we're capable here, I think that Vandy so badly just needs to get some momentum going. I think I've covered that program, and it can't be overstated what that program is up against. No other program in the SEC has to deal with. There are so many other things that play a factor in their performance on the field, be it, the difficulty of getting into the school, staying into the school, and then, of course, the funding aspects that are allocated for academics versus athletics and NIL, transfer portal. There's so many intangibles that they are up against. But if you give them a little bit of momentum and, dare I say, swag, I really like Clark Lee, and I think that could be, something that they really tap into. So I think they get the win today. I'm going to go with the Doors. And then, on Rocky Top, boy, is there excitement around there right now. I think that they are building, especially on the offensive side. I think they are going to come out guns blazing this season. I think that they're really going to put people on watch. I still have Georgia on the East, and I actually think Kentucky is probably going to get them their run with Will Levis returning and Mark Stoops getting that program to a place of prominence, and it's also consistency. First you got to get to that point, and like I said, then you maintain it. I think Kentucky's there. But Tennessee is going to be chomping at the bit. I think that they are going to be electric. I think they're going to be fun to watch. But fans, let's keep the mustard bottles off the field, okay? That's my one request this year.
Yes, no mustard bottles, no golf balls, none of that this year.
Exactly.
But with that Pitt game coming down to the wire in their first game, do you think that's going to help Tennessee or hurt them? Is that going to give Pitt a little bit more momentum because they're like, hey, we pulled this one out? Or do you think they're going to be a little exhausted coming off of that first win? How do you think that's going to help Tennessee or hurt Tennessee next week?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a great question because I think it goes back to what did you do in the off season? We talk so much about the conditioning aspect, the nutrition aspect, but football is such a mental game. I get the chance to really kind of speak to these players and come to learn that and how these staffs prepare them for those little nuances of season. If you come off a really tight win there at the end or a really tight loss there at the end, how does that affect your psyche? How does that affect the way you prepare the next week? Does it propel you or does it discourage you? So I think you really get a better sense of what they did in the off season. And I think knowing what I know about Tennessee and the pieces that they have in place, I think these guys are going to be prepared for it. I really think that they're going to be excited. They're going to level up to the competition that they face. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it works to their advantage.
Yeah, and you're talking about mental and psych, and I don't think anyone is more psyched or having to mentally prepare for this than Josh Heupel, because you had that pick special whenever he was the head coach at UCF, and then last year's loss. So I know that this is one that I think he probably has circled the most. A lot of people keep looking at that Florida game because it seems like the East is really wide open after Georgia. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that really the way that the SEC is structured right now, it does feel, of course, that's kind of the case in week one in general. It does feel like it's really anybody's for the taking right now, especially on the East. And so it's a matter of really who maintains that consistency throughout the season as your schedule ebbs and flows, as you go on the road, as you return home. And obviously, I mean, if you've attended a game at Rocky Top, it's one of the best environments in college football. I mean,
I'm a little
it's just
partial to
electric.
that.
So, yeah, of course. So if you tap into those, kinds of intangibles again, I think that you really could see something special happen for Tennessee this year, but you need the rest of the league to kind of do the same or, dare I say, fall apart, and I think for Georgia, which is, of course, Tennessee looks to the Bulldogs as a big part of what they could do this season. If they, run off the tracks today, if something insane happens that starts them off on the wrong foot and the Vols counter with a really strong start, I mean, this thing gets interesting right away.
Absolutely. And again, you're listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid, and I'm Sami Kincaid, joined by Taylor Davis. We're talking SEC football, but let's talk college football in general, because there was some big news announced yesterday. 12-team playoff system. What are your thoughts going from 4 to 12?
My thoughts are finally, I mean, this has been in the works. It's been a bit of false hope and then bringing it back to the forefront. I mean, we've all been on this roller coaster, right? But I think that, if you're a fan of the game, if you're a fan of the culture of college football, then this is the logical next step. I think that getting out of the BCS into the playoff system was a long, grueling process, right? But that doesn't mean it was a foolproof system. It doesn't mean that it was without needs for adjustment and fine-tuning. And I think expanding it, especially on the heels of the reality that conference realignment is in full force, and it's not done. I think that we're going to still see a lot more moves in terms of conference play. And so if keeping it at that 4, it doesn't parallel with where the landscape of college football is right now. And then the rich get richer. That's the case in college football. And when you've added NIL and the transfer portal and now the conference realignment leaning the way it is, of course, throw TV deals and all the money that comes with, you're really going to have a lopsided scale. I think gone are the days of, really those Cinderella stories, right? The Coastal Carolinas, even the Cincinnatis, with the way that conference, structure is in a 4-team playoff system. You have to expand to allow those stories to take the forefront, because otherwise we're going to be so narrow focused on the teams with all the power, all the money, all the talent, that it's going to get even more predictable than it already is. So I think the 12-team system is fantastic for the sport. I think it's fantastic for the SEC. We all know that. I think of a couple years ago when Texas A&M was sitting right outside that bubble at number 5, and man, were there arguments for them to be in that top 4. There's so much parity across college football, but especially in the Southeastern Conference. This helps with that. It'll open up really intriguing matchups, kind of like what we're getting here in week 1, crossing major conferences and really testing the competitive level amongst all of them. I think it couldn't have come at a better time. I'm hoping that they implement it by 24. The sooner the better. I think it's going to make postseason even more intriguing. Not sure what it means for bowl games particularly, but in the landscape of top-tier competition in college football, we're going to get to see it in the best way.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you remember, but I was at UCF for that national championship year.
Oh, yeah.
That's very controversial. But I mean, I have a national championship ring, so I'll say we were national champions that year. And it is great, though, because I remember, I mean, you definitely remember that game being an Auburn alum.
I knew that would come up.
It was very frustrating, though, to see those guys not get the chance to play for the national championship. So really excited for this expansion. But Taylor, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun talking some SEC ball with you. And you're listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. Coming up after the break, we have Kennedy Boardman in studio. She is this week's This Girl Can, our female local athlete. We'll be back right after this break.
Nashville's first curling venue is here at T-Line Nashville. Come check out T-Line Nashville and experience the world's fastest growing winter sport today. Curling is a fun and simple sport that's a perfect outing for friends, corporate events, families, or parties. T-Line also has classic bowling and modern bowling mini games. With over 20 HD TVs, you can come watch your favorite teams and some of the best food and drinks here in Nashville in the large bar and grill area. They also have an outdoor area with a fire pit, and you can't forget the live music. T-Line Nashville is a one-stop shop for a great night out. Located at 106 Duluth Avenue and online at tlinenash.com. You can book your party now or give them a call at 615-439-1024. That's 615-439-1024. And make sure you give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook at T-Line Nash for all the news, events, and updates. T-Line Nashville. Nashville's first curling venue is here.
Attention homeowners that have ever had a broken appliance. That's a joke, right? We've all had broken appliances. I own a home just like you and have found a way for as little as $1 a day to have all the major appliances in my home on a warranty plan. They're guaranteed to be fixed or replaced. You know how expensive an air conditioner, the heating system, a washing machine, dryer, water heater, or refrigerator can be. For about $1 a day, all your major appliances are protected in case they break. Unless you're Daddy Warbucks or the Monopoly guy and you don't care about money, call my friends at the Home Service Club now and get a warranty on your major appliances. It's a free call and the first month is free. But be one of the first 25 people to call within the next 10 minutes.
800-870-6217. 800-870-6217. 800-870-6217. That's 800-870-6217.
Get Labor Day savings at Lowe's. Buy one, get one 50% off select HGTV home by Sherwin-Williams Paint and Cabot Exterior Stains via rebate. And save on Lowe's exclusive Stainmaster laminate flooring starting at $269 per square foot. It's 3 times wear resistant and backed by a lifetime limited warranty. Shop Labor Day savings now at Lowe's. Stainmaster claims compared to standard residential grade laminate. See warranty at Lowe's.com/Stainmaster. Conditions and exclusions apply. See store Lowe's.com for paint details and restrictions. While supplies last. Offer valid through 9/7.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Austin Hardy is your go-to agent in the Middle Tennessee community for the service you desire at the price you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Austin Hardy has you covered. Call 615-810-9999 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Let's go to work, brother.
Hello, this is Greg Pogue, and I invite you to join Joe Fisher and me for the broadcast of the Mid-State Checkdown Game of the Week with a very special Thursday edition as Montgomery Bell Academy plays host to Christ Presbyterian Academy. That's right, it's CPA and MBA on a Thursday night. The pregame show at 6:45 and kickoff at 7 right here on Nashville Sports Radio, following Murphy Fair's matchup at 6:15 and the scoreboard show afterward.
Now, This Girl Can, featuring your local female athlete of the week.
Welcome back to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. If you want to call in, talk to us on the Cure hotline, 615-844-5600. Again, that's 615-844-5600. And I am excited to be joined in studio with Kennedy Borgman. She's a sophomore at White House Heritage, incredible volleyball player. Kennedy, how you doing today?
I'm good.
I'm good. And we also have her mom on the mic as well, Becky Briggs. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, first off, Kennedy, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
My name is Kennedy Borgman. I'm a sophomore. I go to White House Heritage High School. Did I say I was a sophomore already?
Yeah.
I play volleyball. I've been playing for about 2 years now. This will be my 3rd year. I play club and school, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so you just mentioned you play club. So what is that travel ball schedule like?
So travel ball is like 2 nights a week I practice, maybe on weekends, and then there's tournament out of state sometimes. And then we go to Gatlinburg. We just have fun. Tournaments on the weekend, practice on the week. It's kind of gets exhausting, but I love it.
Yeah, you mentioned it's exhausting, and then I'll ask you, Becky, that's a lot of hours probably going into it. How do you see her really, what is that, like more of the schedule of it? How, for hours practicing, driving for a travel ball, how daunting can that travel schedule be?
Well, it's not too bad. We actually are very close to where the home base for our team is, or our program, so it's not too bad. But keeping a busy schedule for sure, with school and Kennedy tried to work a little bit. That did not work out well with volleyball. She tried to get a little, job working 1 to 2 nights a week, and that failed very quickly. So she's very motivated and doesn't really stress us out a whole lot. We're very proud of her.
Absolutely, and you should be proud because there was just, whenever you came in, you were a proud mom showing me the article that was just written where you're mentioned in it. So why don't you talk a little bit about your team, because it sounds like you've had a lot of changes on the team, 5 different lineups. So why don't you walk me through that and kind of how this season's been going for you guys?
So last year, we had a setter that was our setter since her sophomore year, and she kind of was like a staple on the team. She went to college for volleyball. We all looked up to her a lot. She took us to sub-state. Well, the whole team did, but she was definitely a big part of our team. So this year it was kind of difficult to find the missing piece, and, we lost a lot of seniors that, were a big part of the team also. So we started running this rotation. It's called a 6-2, and it's where there's 2 setters, and it kind of causes confusion with the hitters, and it's not real, I don't know how to explain it. It's not consistent. And so the last 2 games, we played Joe Burns and White House is a big rival, the huge rivalry in our, county. So Niblock is my coach. He ran a 5-1 with me, and we lost to Joe Burns in 5 sets, which we were all pretty disappointed about. And then we played our rivalry match, and we won, and I felt like I led my team to victory.
And that's really exciting that he really trusted you. You mentioned it. You've only been playing 2 years. This is your 3rd season, so you're still relatively new to the game and trusted you with that. So congratulations on that big win and being able to do that. And what have you really learned from playing the game? What is the biggest lesson you've taken?
Honestly, just staying positive, because every time that we're negative and bring each other down, it just kind of goes south. And, just have a good attitude about everything, even if you really don't feel like having a good attitude because you hit the ball in the net or you hit it out or you can't keep your serve in. You just need to bring each other up.
And as a mom, what do you really appreciate that she's learning from the game? Because I'm sure it's also paying off in the classroom. It's probably paying off at home. What is it that you've really seen that has changed with her? Not really changed, but that you've seen really that she's embraced since she has been playing on a team?
Well, I feel like definitely motivation, number one, but I feel like, teaching her life skills, things like being humble. She's a very, very humble ball player. We've gotten lots of compliments about how, she's a superstar, but that she doesn't show it. She's out on the court. She leads her team. She's very positive. She cheers them on. I think those are life skills, not just, if she doesn't take this anywhere beyond high school, she can carry that into her life with her jobs, her family, her children, and just being a positive person and, taking that into life.
And who or what would you say inspires you?
My parents are a big part of what inspires me, because I love being told, I'm so proud of you. That's the best feeling in the world, is your mom and your dad coming up to you saying they're so proud of you. But also, my coaches and my teammates inspire me a lot, because I really push myself, because Niblock pushes me a lot, which is my coach. I mentioned that. But he's my coach, and he pushes me to the farthest he can. And my teammates also push me to the farthest they can.
And you just mentioned him. He was talking about in that article your athleticism and your consistency. That's a big one, being consistent. What does it mean to you whenever you're reading your coach say those things about you?
It's like my heart is like full right now. I'm on the radio, and I got like a post on Main Street Preps, and it's just like I'm leading my team, and I feel like so happy, and like I have high hopes that like we can make it so far.
And what do you aspire to be?
So after high school, I'm definitely going to college. I don't know what right now, but I'm definitely leaning toward being a nurse. My mom's a nurse, so that kind of like leads me towards it. But I also would like to like further my volleyball career if that's possible. But I don't know. It's just like whatever. I'm grateful for everything.
I remember when I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to be a marine biologist, and you can see I'm sitting in here with you guys right now. So a lot of things changed from sophomore to senior year, I would say. But that's really exciting, and I wish you the best of luck on that. But you were just mentioned how you're just so excited for your teammates, for you, for everyone, and you seem really passionate about White House heritage or White House where you live in general. So whenever you're looking at this and the successes that are coming, how does that really help you or make you want to give back to the community?
Just looking back at like my seniors that I had my freshman year, they come back and like come to the locker room and pep us up for games, and like it'll be a huge game and they come back. It really like helps me like see that when I'm a senior and then when I graduate, I can be like them, and they're like mentors to me. And they always have been because they were like my seniors my freshman year. So it just makes me want to come back and be like, hey, guys, you got it, to the freshmen when I'm a senior.
And you mentioned that one of the older girls, she had left, and you really had to step up and fill those shoes. How did you really mentally prepare for that? Did you do anything different in the off season to really work up to that?
Honestly, I was a little bit afraid because, I'm a setter in club season. And usually I'm a hitter in school. But since I was setting, I was a little bit scared. And I was like, I hope everybody isn't disappointed because, like, she's pretty good. And I just didn't want people to be disappointed in me and be like, she's not as good as her, like, this and that. But my mom and my dad, like, stepped in. They're like, you can't, like, be her. You have to just be yourself. And, like, everybody will learn that, like, you're not her, you can do it.
And a lot of times, a lot of people don't look at, yes, the setter, if you don't set the ball correctly, people aren't getting the stats.
Yeah.
And so your stats sometimes are invisible.
Yeah.
So how do you mentally judge your game whenever you're not necessarily popping up on the stat sheet as much as whenever you are the hitter?
Yeah, that's one of the things that is kind of disappointing, but, like, you just have to think about it in like a humble way. Like, I've just helped her get the biggest kill of the game, and like it's really exciting. My teammates are really good about that too. Like, if I get a good set, they'll be like, oh, that was like such a good set, like, you just keep doing that, like, just good job.
And you were talking about how she has played so many different roles. How have you really seen her develop and really hone in her game through playing either at White House Heritage or with her club team?
Well, I think that she's just gained confidence in the game all the way around. She has gotten to be very, very smart with how the game works. She can guide her whole entire team if they're in the wrong position, out of rotation, because that can totally kill you getting, points for the other team if you're out of rotation. And she's, at whatever position she's in, she's always pretty much kind of running the court. So it's kind of made her learn the game, being able to play all positions.
And again, you're listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio, and I'm joined in studio by Kennedy Borgman and Becky Briggs. And Kennedy, you have another game coming up soon, so why don't you tell people where your next game is?
My next game is at Hendersonville High School, and I'm really excited because it's going to be a big game. A lot of Ethos girls from Hendersonville play Ethos, and it's just a fun rivalry match, like playing against the girls you play in club with. It's just really fun. Take a picture after, be like, yeah, we won. And if you lost, you don't say that.
But whenever you play with them on club, you really learn their their style, their game. So how does that help you whenever you're playing them with your school?
Honestly, it's kind of bittersweet because they know how I play too. So, I mean, it helps you, but it also can hurt you because they know how you play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what would you say has been your most proud moment so far this season for her?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty big deal, that article we got. But, I think my most proud moment is the ones that are kind of hidden that people don't know about when other parents will come up to me and just, really, really tell me how great she has progressed since last year and, how awesome she is and how good of a kid she is, just things that aren't related to playing necessarily, but to her attitude. That makes me very proud.
Absolutely love that. And before we go, I just want to say again, Hendersonville High School. I was with them last night, so that was. Hopefully, you get the same outcome that happened with them last night. So good luck in that game. And again, you're listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid with Kennedy Borgman and Becky Briggs. And Kennedy, let's just talk about, you mentioned over and over just how giving your team credit. And whenever you're looking at the community and the support, how does that, whenever you're hearing your mom talk about the fans that are coming up to you, what does that do to you whenever you hear about the support and from the community?
It just builds me up. It builds my energy and like my confidence up, and I feel like I can go out and play anything. But yeah, that's all.
I love that, and thank you, Kennedy, so much for joining. Again, this is the Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio, and coming up after the break, we're gonna have Maddie Fancher join in with us. She is a Lady Vol alum for the Lady Vol soccer team and playing pro now. She's absolutely killing it. So we'll be back in just a little bit with Maddie Fancher.
Located at 5410 Murfreesboro Road in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers is one-stop shopping for all your liquor, beer, and wine needs and has been a multiple winner annually in the Best of Rutherford County voting for Best Liquor Store and Top Wine Shop. Featuring the lowest prices, the best customer service with unsurpassed knowledge, City Slickers offers the largest craft beer selection in Rutherford and southeastern Davidson counties and has beer on tap at its Growler filling station. City Slickers also sells mixers, sodas, snacks, tobacco products, and the Tennessee Lottery, and can place special orders and assist with all your events and even wedding planning. Make sure you follow City Slickers on all their social media or just give them a call at 615-280-7469. That's 615-280-7469. Located in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers.
We first opened about 10 years ago. We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans, but in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
or
Yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
or it may be even subtler, like,
Speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Nashville Sports Radio 560 on 95.9 FM has been your home for sports for 20 years. From typewriters to Twitter, fax machines to Facebook, we have you covered 24/7 and on the go. Finding us online is as easy as @Nash Sports Radio, Twitter @Nash Sports Radio, SoundCloud @Nash Sports Radio, Facebook @Nash Sports Radio, or search your app store for WNSR. 20 years of sports, anytime, anywhere. From Nashville Sports Radio 560 on 95.9 FM. And now it's time to shine the spotlight on this week's coach or player. From college to the pros, this is Shattered Ceilings.
Welcome back into Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. You can see producer Devlin over there hanging out with us as well. And we have on the phone with us Maddie Fancher, Lady Vol Soccer alumni. She's playing right now for the Chattanooga Lady Red Wolves. She's a mom, boss mom, really does it all. Maddie, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And she warned me beforehand, you have a cold. And so
Yeah, I feel like in the fall during football season, my voice is always gone. So I was just at the Tennessee game. I was just at the Tennessee game Thursday. I'm watching college football and the NFL all weekend. So yeah, it's a never-ending cycle of like allergy season in Tennessee, and then football season comes around. So.
Well, I was just gonna say, be easy on her, people. So, but I'm making you talk a whole lot today, so I apologize in advance. But you just brought it up. You were at the Tennessee game. You're a Tennessee alum. How proud are you of our school for how they played on Thursday and what all you saw on Thursday night?
Yeah, I think I'm excited for just to see the team this season. I think Josh Heupel has done a really good job bringing in not only quality guys out of high school, but a lot of quality transfers. I think that's really important in college football, and especially with everything that's gone on with COVID and all athletes getting more eligibility. I think it's really important to bring in, this quality older guys that have the tenure, the leadership experience. So I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this fall, and I think they're going to do very well.
Absolutely. I have high hopes for Coach Hype and the Vols. And Maddie, you played at Tennessee. We were both students there at the same time. So I'm not going to date ourselves, but graduated 2014. And and you're still playing. Nearly 10 years later, you're still playing. So first off, why don't you give a little bit about your background to people?
So I am originally from the Midwest, but Tennessee was the only SEC school I visited, and they took me to the Tennessee-Florida game, and I think that made the decision for me. So not only, with Pat Summitt and everything she did for the Lady Vols, but I think the SEC is really just kind of where it's at with football, and I had a great experience. And then I actually took some time off. I didn't play all 4 years in college. I ended up playing on guys' teams towards the end of my college years, and then out of college, and ended up back on the field playing with women. So I played my first season back in Chattanooga this summer after having my son, who will be 2 on Monday, which is wild to me. And I'm really just enjoying it. I told my dad over the 4th of July, I think I have like 6 to 10 years left playing, and he looked at me like I was crazy. But I honestly feel like even after having a baby, my body and certainly my mind still love the game, and I still have more to give. So I guess I'll keep playing as long as they'll let me.
Absolutely, and props to you. I don't know how you could say that 6 to 10 more years. I played kickball for fun, and I pulled a hamstring, so good for you. Good for you.
The recovery is definitely different at this age than it was when I was like 18, 19, 20. So
Absolutely. And so you're playing with the Chattanooga Lady Red Wolves. What has that been like playing at that next level?
So I think this summer it was definitely interesting. I was playing with girls that I have previously coached. The league this summer that we played in was the USLW League, which was it's an inaugural league, so it just kind of started this year as an option for girls to play in the summer and not all year round. So I did it just kind of first season back, but I enjoyed it. I really had a good time. I definitely felt like I was the second oldest on our team, and so as one of the older players, you definitely take on kind of by default this player coach leadership role because you're playing with girls that are 10 years younger than you. So I enjoyed it, though. I had a great time. I think just finding like the joy in playing again and feeling like I'm back to myself and I'm not just a mom or not just, a baby bearer. So, I had a great time playing them.
How has that been, though? Because I'm sure it's difficult whenever you're coaching them and then you become one of the players as well. How was that transition?
Yeah, so I definitely think I had to manage, I'm competing for a playing spot. Nothing's given. So competing for a playing spot with, again, girls I've coached previously, like before they went to college and club. When I was in college, I was coaching. So I would say it definitely took some like ego checking, humbling on myself, but also it's super rewarding, right? Like you see these girls that you coach, they're still playing. What more could you want as a coach and as a teammate to be able to hype up girls that, you've coached and have them push you, like they are pushing me just as much as I'm pushing them. So
absolutely. And you mentioned Kai, your son, will be 2 on Monday. How has that really been having a child and being able to, has anyone really been influential in really helping make sure that you can still continue this dream of playing, that just being a single mom doesn't mean that you can't continue that dream?
Yes, I think definitely my parents, I couldn't have done it without them. Obviously my son's dad plays a key role, so it really is a team effort, and the phrase, it takes a village to raise a baby, is so true. But I was just going to say we need to get Kai and your little one, Mila, together. I feel like they would be great playmates.
Absolutely. Well, whenever we come up for a game, we'll definitely get them together.
Yes.
Because that will be a few times this fall, I can guarantee it. But it really does take a village, and I'm sure that Kai loves being around your teammates. I know whenever working with teams is always my favorite job I've ever had, and you always really get to know the families, not just the coaches or the players. You really get to know their families, and so I'm sure he feels like he's growing up with a lot of older sisters or aunts around.
Yes, for sure. He was riding the team bus this summer. He rode to a couple games with us, so he definitely has 23 new aunts after this summer, and they were amazing too. I definitely have to give like a shout out to my coaches and my team, because I think it takes a lot of, it's a totally different dynamic, right? When you just have players and then you have me who's a player with a child. So it definitely took a lot of planning, preparation, a lot of patience from my family and my coaches with, the schedule of having practice and games, and it really doesn't stop when you're in season, right? You have maybe one off day and you go again. So I definitely have to thank my parents and thank my team and my coaches, because I couldn't have done it without them.
Absolutely. Well, we have a whole lot more to talk about. So, Maddie, I hope that you stick around with me through this break and we can finish things on the other side of it. Again, you're listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm joined by Maddie Fancher. We're in the Strike and Spare studio, or I'm in the Strike and Spare studio with Devlin, and we'll be right back after this break.
It's a scorcher out there, but we've got tips that'll keep you chilling this August. Tip number 1, keep your AC in peak condition. Tip number 2, drink lots of fluids. Tip number 3, go for refreshing top prizes up to a cool $1 million by playing all new August Insta games from the Tennessee Lottery. All of these exhilarating games can lead to cold, hard cash. So head to the shade of your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer and enjoy some game-changing fun today.
Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Please play responsibly.
From scholarship and grant programs to providing students with the qualifications and certifications they need to start their professional careers, the Tennessee Lottery has awarded more than $6.5 billion in funding to education programs, and we're proud to play our part. See for yourself how all of the fun of the Tennessee Lottery goes to supporting someone's future and a brighter tomorrow at tnlottery.com.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-942-1298. 800-942-1298. 800-942-1298. That's 800-942-1298.
The Klein Preston Law Group of Nashville is WNSR Nashville Sports Radio's title sponsor of the Atlanta Braves 2022 season. The Klein Preston Law Group has over 2 decades of experience with litigation and transactional practice. Their practice mainly focuses on business law, including business litigation, business structure, and international law. The Klein Preston Law Group has represented clients in the state and federal courts throughout Tennessee to the United States Supreme Court. For more information, go to their website at kleinprestonlaw.com. That's kleinprestonlaw.com.
Founded in 1974 and serving the Nashville area in mid-state since 2015, Star Leasing Company is a one-stop shop for all semi-trailer needs. With 13 locations nationally and serving Tennessee cities and nearby areas, Star Leasing does semi-trailer leasing and rentals, purchases new and used trailers, offers maintenance and unscheduled repairs on Star Leasing and non-Star trailers, including over the road, and can take care of all your semi-trailer needs, from brakes and tires to full rebuild. A member of the TTA, Star Leasing Company is not your typical semi-trailer leasing company. Learn more at starleasing.com.
Jim Rome is here weekdays 11 to 2 on Nashville Sports Radio, WNSR.
The SEC is for closers, and there's only one way to survive in the SEC, ABC. A always, B, B, C, closing, always be closing.
A, B, C. A always, B, B, C, closing. Always be closing.
Jim Rome, 11 to 2 on Nashville's original sports radio, WNSR.
We're checking out the headlines, the highlights, and the stories from the world of women's athletics. Time to go around the hour.
Welcome back into the Strike and Spare studio. It's Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm Sami Kincaid. Producer Devlin's in here with me, and we have Maddie Fancher still on the phone with us. We were just talking about her career at Tennessee, playing professionally and being a mom and playing professionally. And Maddie, you are very passionate about one topic. Well, you're passionate about many topics, but one in particular that I definitely want to talk to you about, and that's concussions. And you shared a video with me, and it was Daniel Amin that was talking in the video, and it was really interesting. So why don't you first, I know you go to some conventions, so why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do with mental health?
So I think having, not only being an athlete, but being someone that's been passionate and had mental health struggles, and now I'm comfortable talking about them. But I have had concussions. I've had 3 in 7 years. So being able to manage playing and healing and not having post-concussive, symptoms, I started doing some holistic health treatment. I'm actually following the same protocol that over 300 NFL players have followed with the Amen clinics to reverse concussion damage, and it's actually it's going really well. I work with a team of between functional medicine doctors and psychiatrists, but I think what people don't realize is that over 90% of NFL players and over 85% of soccer players, not to mention, wrestlers or other contact sport athletes, have concussions. And so I think the NFL has started kind of addressing this, and players individually on their own have started addressing this. But I think what people also don't realize is how much concussions can affect your mental health. If you look at guys like Aaron Hernandez or other guys who have suffered a lot of concussions, the average lifespan of someone with CP is like 50 years, which when I found out was mind-blowing to me. And obviously, I've taken steps to better myself and get healthy. But I think mental health, not only outside of concussions, but just in sports in general and in life, it plays such a big role in how we operate and how we care ourselves day to day. So I think it's super important. But especially as athletes, I think playing sports, I always say it's 90% between the ears. It's all in your head normally. And there's a physical aspect of the game, but that's just one small piece. So.
Absolutely. And the video that you shared with me, it actually talks about how your brain is the body's most important organ. And the video that I'm talking about that she shared with me, it's called The Most Important Lesson from 83,000 Brain Scans. And it's Daniel and Amen. And it was what I took from it, the thing that really hit was, he said, why is it that these doctors diagnose without looking at a scan? If you were to go get heart surgery or if you're getting some other operation, they're going to scan whenever they're operating on or diagnosing. But whenever you are going to a psychiatrist and you're talking about mental health, you're blindly diagnosed. And so a lot of times with anything being blindly, it's just a chance. You're taking a risk that you're going to diagnose them the wrong way. And he was saying how you see that quite often, that if you just had a look at the brain, a scan of the brain, you could see from what parts of the brain are active, how you could better diagnose that person. And you work with and go to clinics of his, correct?
Correct. So I actually work with them remotely. So there's only, I think, 7 Amen clinics in the U.S., but there's one in Atlanta. So I actually just got my initial, and just to kind of recap, so Dr. Amen does SPECT scans, and what SPECT imaging does, it's a little more in-depth than like an MRI or a CT scan, but it actually shows you, like, it's nuclear medicine, so it actually shows, like, activity level and oxygen flow to different parts of the brain. So having just gotten my scans back this week, it's crazy because in the video that you're mentioning, Sammy, the TED Talk that Dr. Amen does on how many brains him and his clinics have studied, he talks about how 1% or 2 patients that are showing, the same symptoms, say, of depression, for example, can have totally different brains. So if you treat those patients, or if a doctor treats those patients the same with the same type of medication, what works for one person could be detrimental or have terrible side effects for another. And so that's something that I kind of, as an athlete, I've always been really careful or really mindful what I put into my body. And I've never wanted to take, a medicine that I feel like is going to cause more side effects than it is going to provide benefits. So I think something I was drawn to about the Amen clinics was, number one, they're going to look at your brain and treat based on what they find. And then number 2, they don't take the approach of, oh, let's just give you a Band-Aid. And I have no problems with medication at all. I actually think medication can be great, but it can also cause more problems, right, from a psychiatric standpoint. So, and an overall side effect standpoint. So I love that, the Amen clinics are treating my protocol, my brain protocol is all supplements and vitamins and getting, my hormone levels evened out. And I think that alone makes a huge difference with mental health.
Absolutely. And we're about at the end of the show, so I'm going to ask you real quick, switching subjects. What's your big game you're watching today?
I am watching Oregon, Georgia, and I'm going to watch Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Oh, why'd you have to say Ohio State? Devlin's wearing Ohio State hat. I've already given him crap earlier today in the show. Why'd you have to say that one? Devlin's grinning so big over there.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm cheering for the underdog, Oregon, and I was cheering for Notre Dame today, but I'm not as partial in the Notre Dame Ohio State game as I am the Oregon Georgia game, because as of all, you can never cheer for the dogs.
I'll take that.
Yeah, no, I asked him, I said, Devlin, are you ready to make some picks? And he said, I mean, we had, you know Danny Kleppinger. She was on the show last week, and I said, we need to get Danny back on the show because he's over there making picks. He was giddy last week talking gambling. He said he's a part-time gambler on sports betting.
I'm playing fantasy this year, so we'll just pray that I make the money I had to pay my buy-in back. I'm the only girl in a League of All Guys, and the last time I was in a League of All Guys, I won. So hopefully I'll go 2 for 2 this year.
Well, good luck. And I know that there's a lot of games. He was talking about how he has 4 TVs set up. I said, you got me beat. I have 3. So what are your other games other than Ohio State, Devlin, that you're excited for?
I'm really looking forward to Cincinnati, Arkansas. That's one of my only because I'm wagering, honestly. But I mean,
Who did you pick?
I've got Arkansas to win by at least a touchdown. Even though I'm from Ohio, I'm a villain there, and I'm a villain here. I can't stand Cincinnati football, so I'm here to root against them.
Pause. Maddie, last week he was wearing a Cincinnati shirt.
I was. Listen. Take it easy.
Such a fair weather fan.
Oh, Devlin, what are we going to do with you?
Went to school there partially, okay? I education-wise, great school.
Okay, we'll give it to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. We'll see you again next week.
Get you ready for all the weekend's biggest sporting events, from the latest line movement to the best bets to the best player props. We'll help you start the weekend off the right way. It's the Countdown 2 with Grant Paulson and Nick Ashew on the BetQL Network.
Cody Decker's in for Nick Ashew. I'm Grant Paulson. We are counting down to college football on this Saturday, an hour away from the kick